Hey, James at Simple Life. It's end of my day. I'm tired. I'm probably not going to fish tomorrow. I'm mentally exhausted. Um, that being said, I probably will fish tomorrow. I don't know. Depends on when I wake up, what mood I'm in. But honestly, I've been fishing so much, it's probably not even necessary to go out tomorrow. I've usually only put out a video a week. I go fishing every day, but I only put out a video a week. I've put out, I want to say, 6 or 7 videos in the past 3 days. And that's one of the main reasons I was going out, is because I didn't put any content out for 2 weeks. Well, this is today's harvest. It ain't much to look at. I feel kind of like I got cheated a little bit, but it was all my fault. I just didn't come out here early enough. And that goes to show you, dude, that just a 2-hour difference really makes. But wearing this shirt, I usually don't wear long sleeve shirts. This shirt kept me so cool today. It was a hot day today. I took my shirt off when I got here because I was sweating. Let me turn it a little bit more. I was sweating when I got here, and so I took my shirt off because it's a long sleeve shirt. And 5 minutes go by, or like 6 or 7 minutes go by, and I realized I'm starting to sweat my ass off. But I do every day, so I'm like, that's not different. I do this shit every day. And my skin started to feel like it was getting just cooked. I bring 3 things of water, but ice bags. Well, my skin was starting to feel like it was cooked. I'm like, damn, man, this really is getting kind of annoying. And I looked over and I brought the white thing, and I see all these guys fishing wearing the same shit I got on, but they bring a sun hat, which I have, but I forgot the house. And it's for the UV rays, and I knew that the whole time, but I didn't know how much it actually worked. Like, you could tell the difference. Well, needless to say, I can tell the difference so much that I'm still wearing this shirt, even though it's hot outside. I was sweating less, actually, than I would be not wearing this shirt, which doesn't make sense because it's a long sleeve shirt. But the white reflects the sun rays and the heat. So, that's about the only thing I do know. You guys, a mine cichlid again today. Sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't. If you bite down on to the stringer, but I can't get you off the stringer. I mean, he's not the biggest, but he's an invasive fish. I can feel you doing that, buddy. I'm going to push you forward and grab you again. You're slimy, but I'm not letting go. Okay? Okay. It's alright. I might do it. I mean, my intrusive thoughts are, I didn't want to stick my finger in there so bad just to see if it hurt. But putting my finger on his bottom jaw and letting him pull up, he's got a little bit of bite force. He could definitely pop into my finger. Not like into it, but he's going to bite into my finger. Alright. Well, you know the deal, bud. Thank you for your life, because I'm going to use it. Alright, you're just going to cut your gills and let you bleed out. Alright, that being said, let's start on everything else while he swims around and doesn't know that he's slowly dying. Okay. Obviously, somebody was up here after I was, because this is fucking disgusting in a mess. I don't know why I have to clean up other grown people, but I have to pretty often. Like, come on, dude, do better. If you make a mess, fucking clean it up. Not everybody wants to smell fish in a fish house. In fact, I'd rather it smell clean, that way there's no flies and mosquitoes and shit. And I get the fact that there's going to be smelling like fish, but you can at least wash the blood off the cutting board. Alright. Like, let's just be real. What's up, bud? It's fucked up to watch, I'm not gonna lie. I'm watching him swim to the top of the water. And because I cut in through his throat from both sides of the gills up to his neck, he's bleeding, but he's swimming up to the top looking at me and then floating, sinking to the bottom on his side. And waking up and floating, coming back up to the top like he's gonna jump out the water and then sinking to the bottom because he's dying. And he's the only one, have you noticed, that I do that too. All the other fish I dispatch quickly, all at once. I don't want to see him harmed. He's just a ferocious one, and I ain't trying to. You know what? I almost want to take my shirt off. But what I'll do is I'll take this. I have my old manager from Dunkin' Donuts on Snapchat. I'm sure if he's seen this, he'd be like, really, dude? But yeah, I use this shit to cover my fish up. Dunkin' Donuts! Hey, man. You never asked me back for the apron, so when I left, I ain't gonna go all the way back to another fucking town just to give you a piece of cloth. 9 times out of 10, when you get a uniform from a company, they take it out of your first check anyways, so. McDonald's wasn't like that, and they started being like that because people would go there, get hired just to get clothes, and then they'd quit the next day. I've seen people do it because McDonald's will order clothes for you. So if you're like really fat or like you got a weird body shape, they'll order a custom pants for you, and they'll give you 2 or 3 pairs at a time, and they'll even give you a belt. And then literally, I've seen people quit the next day and they only went there just to get some fucking clothes. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. I'm like, I can't afford it. I said, well, I get that, but damn. If you'd kept the job, you could afford other things. Alright. La 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 la. But so far today, caught fish. I met the owner of the dock. My buddy came up when I was recording a video, and he told me he was coming up first because he knew I was recording a video. But he walked up to me, had a conversation on the dock, talked for a few minutes, and then he left. And he told me I'd be seeing him in a little bit. He'd be coming over to my house and be hanging out. I said, cool. But yeah, I had a pretty eventful day today. Nothing crazy, nothing like, super wild. But wasn't boring for sure. I was gonna limit the amount of fish I kept today, and God did buy that already. He only let me catch so many fish today. Because on all honesty, I have fish in my fridge right now. But that's for today. So like, usually I catch fish and then go home and eat it, and then I do that every day, and then I have fresh fish. Today I had fish from yesterday because yesterday I had fish from the day before that I caught, and I cooked it last night and ate it. And I got some left, not a lot, but some. That's uncooked, and I got some on a plate that's fried in the fridge because I don't eat that much anymore. I try to only eat once a day, and the only thing I eat is protein. And I do a lot of walking. I do quite a bit of trekking back and forth house to here every day. And although it's not a big trip, when you do that every day for months and months and months on end, it gives you a resistance. And then I go farther places. Whatever. But right now, I've only really went. Farthest I've been is went out the park and I went to the food bank. And that's just down another street. It's like 2 or 3 blocks away. But I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so it's just straight cow fields and shit and roads. And the reason I don't mind it is because people have wild dogs out here, and they have no respect for anybody else and let their dogs off leash, and they run into the road. And I'm the kind of guy that will stab the absolute fuck out of your dog if it comes near me, even to lick me. Because why is your dog off leash running into the road full speed at me? I've been bit by a Great Dane and pit bulls, so I have a kind of a trauma. So when I see a dog running full speed at me, sorry about your luck, bud. This is the smallest knife I own. And that's about the only reason I haven't gone anywhere is because people don't have respect to keep their fucking animals on their property. And if it's a guard dog, get a fucking invisible fence. Your dog should not be allowed to run into any part of the road, not even by the road. It should be able to run up to your property line, and that's it. I've literally been driving in a car with someone. We were riding because I wasn't driving. And then us going down that road and almost hit their dog because it ran into the fucking road and started barking at the car and jumped up and tried to bite the mirror. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? My mom goes, yeah, well, that's why I don't walk here. I was like, I don't walk either. And I said, that's a good reason. Another reason is because people can be crying when they come outside to their gutted fucking dog. I'm gonna keep walking down the fucking road after I stab your dog. I'm gonna keep pushing. You're gonna come home to a dead fucking animal. And I'm gonna, I'm gonna take a picture of that bitch and keep it pushing. When I called the cops, that was self-defense, bro. Keep your animal on your property. That's the law. I love dogs, though, but not other people's dogs. So I don't know what you did to that dog. I don't know if you raised it good. I don't know if you raised it bad. I don't know if it's aggressive. I've seen more people get bit by a dog that didn't never bite nobody than a regular, just straight up dog that you know is gonna bite you. Shit, my neighbor asked me, "Are you afraid of my dog?" I said, "I'm not scared of any dog, dude." I said, "I'm cautious and on edge, but he's got a bulldog, and it's stubby as fuck." For the first time I met it, it jumped up and put its teeth on my arm. And I didn't like freak out. I just yelled at it and I kicked it like with my knee. I fucking kneed it off of me. And it came up and jumped it again and tried to do that shit again. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Whoa! And it didn't do shit to the dog because the dog's hard-headed. But the dog just looked at me like, what the fuck? I was like, yeah, you ain't doing that to me, bro. Like, get the fuck down. And my neighbor's just like, what, you scared of him? And I said, it's not that I'm scared of him, dude. It's, you're gonna let him do that shit, and he's gonna get bigger, and he's gonna get to the point where he thinks he runs your house, and he's gonna be checking you. And if you don't put his ass in his place now, what do you think's gonna happen in a year or two? You know? He goes, yeah, you're right. I said, you got a kid. He said, that is true. I'm gonna lock that dog up in the cage because the dog gets in my kid's face. And I said, exactly, dude. Like, fuck that dog. He said the guy I got the dog from told me he didn't want it anymore, and he told my neighbor to kill the dog. And I was like, he told you to kill the dog? He said, yeah. I said, if the guy that gave you the dog told you to kill the dog that he gave you, there's a reason he told you to kill that fucking dog. He said, nah, he's just a bitch. I said, okay, whatever, man. You do you. I'm not. I seen a video of him yesterday, and he had put on the caption, oh, he wants to die. And I was like, what is he talking about? And the same fucking dog, dude. Kid you not. He was fucking with his dog playing, and he jumped up and right on his arm, didn't collapse down, but he said, oh, and he pushed his ass, and he did it again. He said, he must want to die. I said, bitch, I would have been shot his ass. Quick, quick! The fuck? One of them dogs you want to just give away, but if you take him to the pound, they're going to do the same shit. He's aggressive. said, he's not aggressive, he's a show dog. I said, that is an aggressive show dog. No dog should be trying to do all that shit. You should be petting that dog and hugging on that dog, and that's about it. You shouldn't be fucking in the cage 24/7. And then when you let him out, he tries to bite you, eat, piss, and shit, and go right back in the cage. That's the reason I don't want a dog. A, there's a lot of responsibility. B, I just don't want to deal with it. If I were to get a dog, it'd probably be a smaller dog. Something I could bring with me on my adventures and something like that. I don't want no fucking chocolate lab or fucking pit bull or nothing like that. I don't need that. Oh, wow. I'm about to say something to somebody. I don't even know if they know if that's broken. There's a pipe, mind you, that shoots down into the water. And on each one of these tables, there's an inlet, like for the excess water to run through. Well, it goes down a pipe and it shoots outside as well. But when you look at it, it's broken in the middle point. So I literally just washed some guts and it went down that hole. And I looked down there and that shit shot down onto the floor because the pipe's broken down there. And instead of fixing it, which is a very fucking easy looking fix, you just cut off the existing piece and put another piece of PVC pipe on it. No one cares. I just leave it there. So you know what that means? It means I don't care. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to clean up my mess because that's the good thing and a responsible thing to do. But I'm not cleaning up somebody else's shit. The only time I do that is if it's directly in my way, like I did when I came over here. Dude, how I caught this guy? I'm not even gonna lie to you. This dude right here, I was where I fish at. In the shallow end, there's always fish chilling. It doesn't look like there's a bed there, but you can tell that's where they bed at. You know what I mean? Like their little area to chill. I didn't even see this guy. I threw down a small piece of dough. I'm trying to capture a big, it looks like an Oscar. I don't know what it is, but it's like all yellow. All I can see is under the water. So it's all yellow. And on its tail, it's got a big circle spot like that. And its forehead, you know, eye to eye, it's about that big. So I'm like, oh, I want to catch that fish. I see it every day. And it sees me and goes underwater. It knows who I am. Once it sees me on the dock, it hides for the rest of the time. Anyways, I'm throwing some shit out there, and I'm seeing that fish come up to my shit. I'm like, fuck yes, you know what I mean? And I see my bobber pop, and I slam it, and it's this fucking mind cichlid. I didn't even see it come up to my fucking hook, dude, but he swallowed that dough. And as I set the hook, the other fish saw it, it dipped out, and I was like, fuck. At least I got a fish. Today would be what it is. I had one of my not so good days. What the fuck was that? Okay. Anyways. I thought I heard someone talking to me, but it sounded like yelling. I might actually give y'all a chance to show y'all this time. I talked about it in the last video. The camera to focus a little bit. See all the guts in there? They're actually not held on to anything. If you see what I'm talking about, they're just there, dude. Look. It's weird. All you got is a little inch, and that's it. That's all that holds their guts in place, is that little piece of skin. And then when you cut behind this barrier, I think that's where the swim bladder is. I'm not quite sure. I don't know the anatomy of fish like that, but I do know kind of because I fillet them every day. And then it looks like that after you cut that like skin, that cavity that holds all the organs away from the actual meat and shit. All right. No, but I had a good day, dude. I met the owner of the dock. He was a nice man. I helped him fix the piece that was fucked up on the dock because he was a little bit older and he was having trouble getting up and down. So I just offered to do it myself, which he seemed to like. It was the right thing to do, anyways. Being as I fish there every day, I might as well help him with his dock. I'm on it all the time. We had a good old conversation about, in fact, bluegills. He loves catching bluegills. And I said, oh, do you for real? He said, I call them the grouper of the freshwater. I said, what? He said, that's a freshwater grouper to me. I've never even caught a grouper. I said, okay. I said, they do fight like hell. He said, man, I've been on my boat and had that motherfucker turn my whole boat around. I said, damn. But his boat's a little John boat, though, but whatever. But either way, I was like, I mean, they do fight pretty well. He said, what else you catch? I said, cichlids and bluegills usually. He said, yeah, that's about what people catch in here. I said, oh, all right. He goes, they usually use minnows. I said, oh, yeah, I don't got any, but, I just use thread. I said, I do got artificial shit, but I don't know how to use it. And he laughed. He was just like, yeah, most people don't. I said, yep. And, it's a big ass bee. But, he just asked me how I was doing. So I'm doing pretty all right. He said, that's good. And I was like, is that your boat that's on the dock or is that the other guy's? And he said, no, that's my boat. I said, it's a pretty nice boat. He said, yeah. And he said something, I don't know what he said. It was like, yeah, I just got a problem with leaving it out or leaving it down here. Or no. That's what he said. He was making a joke because he's a snowbird. He said, I find it hard to keep it or take it on the plane. And I was like, I didn't even laugh. It took me like 3 or 4 minutes to understand what he was talking about. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I was like, oh, he's a snowbird. Okay, yep, that makes sense. It's like, plane, what are you talking about? But yeah, other than that, fucking, what's in here? I had a pretty decent day. My buddy's supposed to be coming to get me pretty soon. He wants to hang out, but chances are I'll see him before he sees me once I walk home. And I don't blame him. 9 times out of 10, he'll come look for me. But when he just gets done working, he just goes to his house and relaxes. And he watches me because he lives right behind me. He watches for when I come home and he'll just come over once I get done fishing. Because he's come over here a few times and I'll literally just gone fishing and he'll bring his wax and everything. And we're sitting in, 90-degree weather. And he's like, you ready to do a dab? And I'm like, fuck yeah, but I'm also ready to fish. And he's just like, oh. I said, my bad, dude. He's like, no, you're cool. And I feel some type of way, so I'll take all my stuff and we'll leave. And we'll go smoke. But there's been also times where he's like, no problem. And I'm like, all right, bet. And I took him up for that, like at face value. And then we sat there for like 3 hours. And I fished. And he just looked at me. And I was like, oh, you're ready to go, huh? And he goes, been for a while, man. I said, oh, my bad. He said, no, you're cool. I just didn't want to rush you. I thought we were just having a good time, And yeah. But it's, he lives right there. There's like 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and then behind the 3rd row, there's a little offshoot that goes to where I'm at on the water. So I'm in the little area where people fish and got their boats at. And then you got 1 row, and the 2nd row, and the 3rd row. I live on the 3rd row, he lives on the 2nd row. So I go past his house to go home anyways. But truth be told, man, he's the one that got me to be able to use that dock. He knows a lot of people around here. He's been here for a long time. And he knows I fish every day. He knows it's one of the things I like to do. It's how I feed myself. He knows that. It's one of my buddies. And he found out, I let him know that someone put a no trespassing sign up, and that made him pissed off. Because it was clearly for me. And it just made him upset. He was like, why would someone do that? I was like, I don't fucking know. So he made it a point to literally go throughout the park and ask a couple people that he knew had docks if it'd be alright if I used it, because he knows I don't know them. And sure as shit, fucking week goes by. I'm feeling horrible because I'm like, damn, I want to go fishing. I ain't putting any content out. I just got a YouTube channel. I'm just getting all these views, and now I can't fucking do shit. And as soon as that happened, here comes Jeff. Going, hey man, you been fishing this week? I said, no, I can't. He said, well, you still can fish. You just can't fish on that dock. I said, true, but there ain't nowhere else to fish. He said, I got you somewhere now. I said, what? He said, yeah, right beside the dock, or right beside the fish house. That's all you, man. I said, bet. And I would have asked myself, but I don't know many people around here. And I don't want to just walk up to a random person and go, hey, do you have a dock? Do you mind if I fish off of that shit? I'd rather just go fish off the boat ramp. It's right there in front of me. Because that ain't nobody's. I can fish there all day. It just doesn't have fish next to it. I actually don't know if it does, honestly. The first time I fished here, I cast out there, but it was like one of my first times fishing by myself and actually doing any of the fishing itself, not just sitting there talking to somebody. So I'm going to count it as my first time fishing by myself. I need some of that water to put away. And I had live minnows, but I didn't know how to use them. I didn't know how to hook them on the hook, and I didn't know how to use live bait. So I literally just stabbed it into, I think, the head of the fish, and threw that bitch out there. And the minnows would never be off the hook. They would just be a dead minnow on my hook. I'm sorry, it's like 95 degrees today. I'm thirsty. That's ice cold. It's the only way I can do it, dude. I gotta freeze 3 different 2-liter bottles, completely filled to the brim with water. And out of one of those 3, I only get to drink 1 bottle. The other 2 are just ice containers because I don't have ice for my cooler. Now, if I had a good cooler, I wouldn't even worry about that shit. But I have a $10 dollar store cooler, and I ain't complaining. It was only $10. I only use it to fish. It's good enough for me, man. That's all I care about. Do I wish it was better? Fuck yeah. But you get what you pay for, so. For $10, it keeps my drinks cool. It's got a pocket on the side. It keeps all my gear in it. I use the pocket on the other side to record videos. I think it's worth it. But this neither here nor there, but yeah, dude. It's mandatory to keep water with you. I've about had heat stroke a few years ago when I lived in Florida. It's going on now almost 10 years now. But well, it feels like that, but damn, it's probably only going on year 7. But that's close though, so. Yeah, about 8 years. 28. I just celebrated my 21st birthday. And I got a job working with this dude. And we did tree service shit. And I wore like baggy clothing and like, you know what I mean? That's all I had to wear. But I also wore baggy black clothing. When I mean black, I just mean the color of the clothes was black. So while I'm sitting there working, and I just sweat my ass off, I'm getting hot the whole fucking time. And I mean hot. It's Florida, middle of summer hot. Okay? So I'm telling the dude, hey, I don't feel good. Something going on. And he didn't believe what I said. He said, no, you just don't want to work. And I said, if I didn't want to work, I'd just leave, dude. That don't make any fucking sense. He said, nah, if you don't work, you're not getting paid. I said, for real? He said, yeah, for real. If you don't work, you're not getting paid. I said, all right, that's fucked up or whatever. I said, said, I'll try. I said, okay, try. And I'm sitting there, and as time goes, I got so hot, dude, I couldn't even piss anymore. And I couldn't sweat. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I do right now, honestly, which is why I started chugging that fucking water. I got to the point where my back hurt real bad, and I actually ended up getting a cramp in my lung. So it felt like I couldn't breathe. And what that caused me to do is hyperventilate, and then I really couldn't breathe. And the dude was like, you're fine, you know, whatever. He's playing it off because he don't give a fuck at all, obviously. So you're fine. I said, no, I don't feel right, dude. I'm not working anymore. He said, you're not going to get paid. I said, I don't give a fuck. I'll sue you. He said, go sit in the truck and put the AC on and relax. And he started talking shit. You're a bitch. Da 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 da. I said, whatever, dude. And I actually had my gun with me that day. I just got a concealed carry license. I was with one of my buddies, Brandon. The dude I was working with was kind of a family member, not really. Whatever, don't care. He just acts like he's not. So that's why I treat him like he's not. But he called me a bitch and everything, and I went and got in the truck. And I was sitting there, and I'm starting to go, dude, I can't fucking breathe. And he's got the AC cranked on. He's like, you'll be fine. Just set in the AC and cool off. I said, no, I can't breathe, dude. He said, what do you mean? I said, and I started getting real red, and I got out the truck and laid on the ground. I said, I can't breathe. And I looked at my little brother, and I swear, I said, look, I said, I love you. I said, I think I'm dying. I don't know what's going on. I said, take my gun and keep it. I had a Glock 19 on my hip. If I die. And I said, if I don't die, just take it to the house until I get out the hospital. He said, okay. And as I'm sitting there, and this is where I remember, dude. As I'm sitting there, I took my shirt off. People are like surrounding me. Brandon's one of them. And we were working at the sheriff office for Palm Beach County. We were a tree service. So we were cutting the sheriff's trees. And his wife came out. And this was like almost 10 years ago. His wife came out and goes, what's going on? And he goes, he can't breathe. And she said, I'm calling the fucking ambulance. He said, no, you don't need to do that. And she said, no, you're on my property. I'm calling the ambulance so you can't sue me when he dies. And he's like, you think it's that bad? And I was on the floor gasping for my breath. You know what I mean? And she goes, he clearly can't fucking breathe. What do you mean? And he goes, oh shit, yeah, call the ambulance. You know? And I was just like, thank you, bitch. The fuck is wrong with you? The fuck? And, you know, whatever. They call the ambulance, put me in the ambulance. They take me to the ER. And that shit was like in the